The massive human ship floated silently in the darkness of space. Its hull stretched over 2 kilometers long, covered in thick armor plating that gleamed dully under the distant starlight. The UES Indomitable looked dead. No lights flickered along its surface. No energy readings came from its engines. To anyone watching, it appeared to be just another piece of space junk drifting through the void. Admiral Kethvar studied the readings on his command screen with growing interest. His purple-scaled fingers tapped against the smooth surface of his control chair as he examined the data. The Zephyrian fleet had been patrolling this sector for 3 cycles now, searching for signs of the new species that had been causing trouble along their borders. These humans, as they called themselves, had been bold enough to claim star systems that rightfully belonged to the hegemony. "Commander Vextal," Kethvar called to his second-in-command, "what do our long-range sensors tell us about this vessel?" The younger Zephyrian officer's head crest flickered with the blue patterns that showed concentration. "Admiral, the ship appears to be completely powered down. No engine signatures, no weapon systems active, no communications array functioning. It's approximately 2.1 kilometers in length and appears to be heavily armored." Kethvar's inner eyelids closed briefly as he considered this information. The Zephyrian hegemony had conquered 47 different species across the galaxy. Each time, their victory had come from superior technology and careful intelligence gathering. Their quantum phase scanners could penetrate any known shielding and reveal every secret a ship might hold. "Interesting," the Admiral muttered. "A human warship disabled and helpless in our territory. This presents us with a perfect opportunity." The bridge of the Zephyrian flagship buzzed with quiet activity. Crew members worked at their stations, their scaled hands moving gracefully over controls that glowed with soft bioluminescent light. The ship itself was a work of art, its organic curves and flowing lines a stark contrast to the brutal efficiency of the human vessel floating before them. "Admiral," Vextal said, his voice carrying a note of caution, "should we not be careful? The humans have proven to be unpredictable in their tactics." Kethvar's head crest flared with the orange patterns that showed amusement. "Commander, look at their ship. It's primitive compared to our vessels. Crude metal construction, chemical propulsion systems, and what appears to be kinetic weapons. They build their ships like clubs, heavy, simple, and lacking any elegance." The Admiral stood from his chair and walked to the main viewing screen. The human battleship filled most of the display, its angular design looking foreign and aggressive. Where Zephyrian ships flowed like living creatures, this vessel looked like it had been hammered into shape by angry gods. "Besides," Kethvar continued, "they cannot detect our scanning procedures. Our quantum phase technology is beyond their understanding. We will learn everything about their ship design, their weapons, their weaknesses. Then we will capture whatever crew remains alive and interrogate them about their military capabilities." Vextal's head crest showed the purple patterns of concern. "Admiral, what if this is some kind of trap?" "A trap?" Kethvar laughed, the sound like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "Commander, their ship is dead in space. No power, no shields, no weapons. What kind of trap could they possibly set? No, this is simply good fortune. The galaxy has delivered one of their warships into our hands." The Admiral returned to his command chair and activated the fleet communication system. "All vessels maintain current positions. Flagship will conduct detailed scans of the human vessel. Science teams, prepare for deep analysis protocols." On the human ship, Captain Sarah Chen sat quietly in her command chair, watching the alien vessels through her ship's passive sensors. The bridge around her was dark except for a few dim red lights. Her crew worked silently at their stations, monitoring the approaching threat. "Captain," whispered Lieutenant Torres from the sensor station, "the alien flagship is moving closer. Range now 50,000 kilometers and closing." Chen nodded without turning her head. "Any change in their scanning activity?" "No, ma'am. They're still running basic sensor sweeps. Nothing invasive yet." The captain's fingers drummed silently against her chair's armrest. The Indomitable had been playing dead for 6 hours now, drifting on a carefully calculated trajectory that would bring the alien fleet within optimal range. Everything depended on the aliens believing what they saw: a disabled human warship, helpless and ready for capture. "Atlas," Chen whispered to the ship's artificial intelligence. "Status report." The AI's voice came through her personal earpiece, so quiet that even the bridge crew couldn't hear it. "All systems ready, Captain. Weapons are powered but masked. Engines are on standby. Shield generators are prepared for immediate activation. The electromagnetic damping field is functioning perfectly. We appear completely dead to their sensors. Chen allowed herself a small smile. The electromagnetic damping field was humanity's newest trick. It made their ships appear powerless while actually running all systems at minimal energy levels. The technology was still experimental, but it had worked perfectly so far. How much longer until they're in position? She asked. At current approach speed. Approximately 14 minutes until optimal engagement range, Atlas replied. Back on the Zephyrian flagship, Admiral Kethvar was growing impatient. Science Officer Zelrus, are our deep scan arrays ready? The science officer's head crest showed the green patterns of readiness. Yes, Admiral. Quantum phase scanners are fully charged and calibrated. We will be able to penetrate their hull and map every system aboard their vessel. Excellent. And our intelligence analysis? All data will be processed in real time. We should have complete technical specifications within minutes of beginning the scan. Their weapon systems, propulsion technology, shield generators, computer systems, everything will be revealed. Kethvar settled back in his chair with satisfaction. Begin the scan as soon as we reach optimal range. I want to know everything about how these humans build their ships. Their technology may be primitive, but understanding their methods will help us counter their fleets more effectively. The Zephyrian flagship moved closer to its target, its sleek hull cutting through space like a predator approaching wounded prey. The other ships in the fleet maintained their positions, ready to assist if needed. But none of them expected any resistance from the dead human vessel. Admiral, the navigation officer reported, we have reached optimal scanning range. Perfect. Kethvar leaned forward in his chair. Science officer, begin deep scan protocols. I want complete penetration of their hull. Map every room, every system, every piece of equipment aboard that ship. Initiating quantum phase scanning now, Zelrus announced. Invisible beams of energy reached out from the Zephyrian ship, designed to slip through any known type of shielding and reveal every secret within the target vessel. The scanners had never failed before. They had exposed the weaknesses of dozens of enemy fleets and made the hegemony's conquests swift and decisive. On the Indomitable, warning lights began flashing on Atlas's monitoring systems. The AI detected the alien scanning beams instantly and began analyzing their quantum signatures. This was the moment they had been waiting for. Captain, Atlas whispered through Chen's earpiece. They've begun their deep scan. Quantum phase penetration confirmed. Initiating countermeasures now. Chen's smile grew wider. Let them look, Atlas. Give them everything they want to see. The alien scanners penetrated deeper into the human ship, mapping its systems with perfect precision. But they had no way of knowing that the ship they were scanning was also scanning them back. The hunt was about to begin. The quantum phase scanning beams hit the Indomitable's hull and passed through like ghosts through a wall. On the Zephyrian flagship, Science Officer Zelrus watched with satisfaction as data began flowing across his screens. The human ship's secrets were being laid bare before his eyes. Admiral, the scan is proceeding perfectly, Zelrus reported. I'm getting detailed readings of their internal structure, weapon systems, and crew locations. Admiral Kethvar nodded approvingly. What have we learned so far? Their technology is indeed primitive but interesting. They use fusion reactors for power, magnetic railguns for primary weapons, and missile systems with chemical warheads. Their armor appears to be simple metal alloys, though quite thick. No energy shields detected. Deep inside the Indomitable, Atlas was experiencing something like excitement. The alien scanning technology was far more advanced than anything in the human database. As the quantum beams penetrated the ship's systems, the AI began its own analysis. Every photon that touched the ship's sensors carried information, and Atlas was designed to learn from any new data it encountered. The AI's quantum processors worked at incredible speed, analyzing the scanning beam's frequency patterns, energy signatures, and transmission methods. Within seconds, Atlas had identified the basic principles behind the alien technology. Within minutes, it had reverse-engineered the fundamental design. But Atlas went further. The AI traced the scanning beams back to their source, following the quantum entanglement patterns that connected the scanners to their control systems. It was like following a rope back to the hand that held it. Slowly, carefully, Atlas began to scan the scanners. Captain Chen felt her earpiece vibrate with an incoming message from Atlas. Captain, I've successfully reverse-engineered their scanning technology. I'm now conducting my own analysis of their fleet. Chen's eyes widened slightly, though she kept her expression neutral. What are you finding? Their ships are more advanced than ours in many ways, but they have significant vulnerabilities. Their shield systems operate on rotating frequency patterns that I can now predict. Their weapon systems are powerful but slow to retarget. Most importantly, their computer networks are interconnected in ways that make them vulnerable to intrusion. On the Zephyrian flagship, Zelrus continued his analysis of the human vessel. Admiral, I'm detecting approximately 2,000 life forms aboard the ship. Their biological signatures suggest they are carbon-based, similar to several species we've encountered before. Any signs of unusual technology? Kethvar asked. Nothing beyond their basic systems. Their computer core appears to be quite large for such a primitive species, but shows no signs of advanced artificial intelligence. They seem to rely on manual control for most ship functions. If Zelrus had looked more carefully at his scans, he might have noticed something strange. The human computer core wasn't just large, it was actively processing enormous amounts of data. But the energy signatures were so subtle that the Zephyrian sensors couldn't detect them. Atlas had been designed to run silently when needed, appearing as nothing more than a basic navigation computer to outside observers. Atlas continued its own scanning operation, diving deeper into the alien network. The AI discovered that the Zephyrian ships shared data continuously, their computers linked by quantum communication channels. It was like finding a highway system connecting multiple cities. Atlas began carefully exploring these connections, learning about each ship in the alien fleet. Captain, Atlas whispered, I've accessed their tactical database. I now have complete specifications for all 7 ships in their fleet. I also have their standard battle formations, weapon capabilities, and shield modulation frequencies. Chen had to work hard to keep her expression unchanged. This was beyond their best hopes. Can you access their navigation data? Already done. I have their complete star charts, including the locations of their major colonies and military bases. I'm also downloading their intelligence files on human activities. The AI paused for a moment before continuing. Captain, they're planning something called a pacification campaign against Earth. According to their files, a fleet of 200 ships is already en route to our solar system. Chen's blood ran cold. 200 ships. Earth's entire defense fleet consisted of maybe 30 vessels, and most of those were patrol cruisers, not battleships. How long do we have? Based on their navigation logs, approximately 72 hours before the invasion fleet reaches Earth. On the Zephyrian ship, Admiral Kethvar was growing impatient. How much longer for the complete scan? Nearly finished, Admiral. I'm just mapping their final systems now. Zelrus paused as something strange appeared on his screen. That's odd. What is it? I'm detecting some unusual energy fluctuations in their computer core. Very faint, but it almost looks like active processing. Kethvar's head crest flickered with interest. Could their systems be more advanced than they appear? Possibly. The fluctuations are very subtle. It might just be residual power in their systems, or perhaps some kind of automatic monitoring program. The science officer had no way of knowing that he was watching Atlas work. The AI was now fully integrated into the Zephyrian network, copying their entire database while leaving no traces of its presence. It moved through their systems like a ghost, taking everything it needed without disturbing a single file. Atlas had learned something important about the Zephyrians. They were an old species, one that had grown comfortable with their technological superiority. Their computer security was advanced but predictable. They protected against brute force attacks and obvious intrusions, but they had never encountered an intelligence like Atlas. The AI was designed by humans, and humans approach problems differently than other species. Where the Zephyrians built elegant, efficient systems, humans built adaptable ones. Where aliens created perfect solutions for known problems, humans created flexible tools that could handle unknown challenges. Captain, Atlas reported, I've completed my analysis of their fleet. I now have tactical solutions for engaging each ship. I've also identified their command structure and communication protocols. Good work, Atlas. Begin preparing our systems for combat. Already in progress. I'm modifying our weapons to exploit their shield frequencies. I'm also preparing a quantum virus to disrupt their communications once we begin our attack. Chen nodded slightly. What about getting this information back to Earth? I can transmit our findings using a quantum burst transmission. It will take considerable power and will definitely reveal our position, but the data will reach Earth in approximately 18 hours. Do it. Send everything. Their fleet positions, technology specifications, and battle plans. Earth Command needs to know what's coming. Deep in the ship's communication array, Atlas began preparing the most important message in human history. The transmission would contain terabytes of alien technology, complete battle plans for the coming invasion, and detailed specifications for every Zephyrian weapon and defense system. Back on the alien flagship, Zelrus was finishing his scan. Admiral, analysis complete. We have full specifications on the human vessel. Excellent. What is your assessment? The ship is heavily armed for its size, but their weapons are primitive. Their armor is thick but unsophisticated. No advanced shielding systems. Overall, a typical example of human engineering. Crude but effective. Kethvar stood from his chair, satisfied with the results. Very good. Prepare boarding parties. We'll capture this ship and interrogate the survivors about their military capabilities. Yes, Admiral. Should we bring the ship aboard our carrier? No, we'll board it where it floats. I want to examine their technology in its natural environment before we begin dismantling it. None of the Zephyrians realized that their perfect scan had just handed humanity the keys to their entire civilization. The hunters had become the hunted, and they didn't even know it yet. Captain Chen felt the quantum burst transmission building power deep in the ship's core. The energy levels were climbing rapidly as Atlas prepared to send humanity's most important message. Once that transmission fired, there would be no hiding anymore. The Zephyrians would know the Indomitable was very much alive. Atlas, how long until you can fire the transmission? Chen whispered into her comm unit. 30 seconds to full power, Captain. The message contains complete technical specifications for all Zephyrian vessels, their battle plans, and locations of their major colonies. Earth Command will have everything they need to prepare a defense. Chen nodded and switched to the ship's internal communication system. All hands, this is the captain. In 20 seconds, we go from hiding to fighting. Remember your training, remember your duty, and remember that Earth is counting on us. Give them hell. Throughout the ship, 2,000 crew members prepared for battle. In the weapon bays, technicians powered up the rail guns that had been silently waiting. In engineering, Chief Martinez and his team stood ready to bring the fusion reactors to full power. In the fighter launch bays, pilots climbed into their cockpits and began pre-flight checks. On the Zephyrian flagship, Admiral Kethvar was reviewing the scan results when his communications officer suddenly looked up in alarm. Admiral, I'm detecting a massive energy buildup in the human vessel. What kind of energy buildup? Kethvar demanded. Unknown type, sir. Power levels are climbing rapidly. It appears to be centered in their communication array. The Admiral's head crest flared with orange warning patterns. All ships, raise shields immediately. Weapons to full power. But it was too late. Atlas fired the quantum burst transmission at the exact moment the alien shields came online. The message shot out into space at faster than light speed, carrying humanity's salvation toward Earth. At the same time, every light on the Indomitable blazed to life as the ship dropped its electromagnetic masking. All weapons, fire! Chen commanded. The Indomitable's railguns opened fire with thunderous roars that shook the entire ship. Massive tungsten rounds, each weighing several tons, shot out at incredible velocity. But these weren't ordinary kinetic rounds. Atlas had modified them using the stolen Zephyrian technology, adjusting their electromagnetic signatures to match the alien shield frequencies. The first salvo punched through the flagship's shields as if they weren't there. 2 rounds struck the alien vessel's hull, sending debris spinning into space. Alarms screamed across the Zephyrian bridge as damage reports flooded in. Impossible, Zelrus shouted. Their weapons shouldn't be able to penetrate our shields. Admiral Kethvar grabbed his command chair as the ship shuddered under impact. How are they doing this? I don't know, sir. Our shields are operating normally, but their projectiles are passing right through. On the Indomitable, Chief Engineer Martinez was working frantically at his station. Captain, Atlas has given me some kind of alien shield technology. I'm integrating it into our systems now. How long? Chen asked as she watched the tactical display show alien ships moving to surround them. 2 minutes for basic integration, 5 minutes for full optimization. We might not have 2 minutes. Atlas, what's our tactical situation? The AI's voice came through clearly now that they had dropped their masking. 7 enemy vessels total. Their flagship is damaged but still operational. 3 cruisers are moving to attack positions. 2 destroyers are attempting to flank us. One carrier is launching fighter craft. Chen studied the holographic display that showed the battle developing around them. The Zephyrian ships were beautiful, flowing through space like sea creatures swimming through water. But their movements were predictable, following standard battle formations that Atlas had already analyzed. Atlas, can you predict their attack patterns? Already done, Captain. They're using Formation Pattern 7 from their tactical manual. I recommend we target the lead cruiser first. Its destruction will force them to reorganize, giving us additional time. The Indomitable turned toward the approaching cruiser, its massive hull moving with surprising grace for such a large vessel. The ship's designers had built it for exactly this kind of fight, outnumbered and surrounded, but hitting hard enough to take several enemies down. Missile batteries lock onto the lead cruiser, Chen ordered. Load the special warheads. In the missile bays, human weapons received their final modifications. Atlas had analyzed the alien ship designs and found a critical weakness. Zephyrian vessels used organic hull materials that were incredibly strong, but vulnerable to specific frequency resonations. The AI had modified the missile warheads to generate those exact frequencies on impact. Missiles away, called the weapons officer. 20 fusion-tipped missiles shot out from the Indomitable, their courses programmed by Atlas to avoid the alien point defense systems. The missiles split into multiple groups, forcing the enemy ship to divide its defensive fire. On the Zephyrian cruiser, Captain Dexani watched the incoming missiles with growing concern. Deploy all defensive measures. Energy beams lanced out from the alien ship, destroying several missiles, but others got through, slamming into the cruiser's hull and detonating. The specially tuned explosion sent resonating waves through the organic hull material, causing catastrophic structural failure. The entire front section of the cruiser cracked like an eggshell, atmosphere venting into space. The ship listed to one side, its propulsion systems failing. Impossible, Admiral Kethvar breathed as he watched one of his most advanced ships crippled by primitive human weapons. How do they know our hull frequency vulnerabilities? Back on the Indomitable, Chief Martinez called out from his station. Captain, I've got basic alien shield technology online. We now have energy barriers in addition to our armor. The timing was perfect. The remaining Zephyrian ships opened fire, sending streams of plasma and particle beams toward the human battleship. The alien weapons were incredibly powerful, designed to punch through any known armor. But when they hit the Indomitable's new shields, something unexpected happened. Their weapons are being deflected, reported the defense officer. The alien shield technology is actually designed to stop their own weapons. Chen allowed herself a grim smile. Of course it is. Atlas, how long can our shields hold? Approximately 10 minutes at current power levels. However, I'm learning from each hit. Their weapon patterns are becoming predictable. The battle was unlike anything the Zephyrians had ever experienced. Usually their advanced technology guaranteed victory within minutes. But the human ship seemed to adapt to every attack, growing stronger instead of weaker. Admiral, Bextal called from his station, the human ship is using our own technology against us. Their shields are based on our designs, their weapons are tuned to our weaknesses. Kethvar's head crest showed the deep purple of confusion and growing fear. How is that possible? We scanned them. Their technology was primitive. Sir, I think they scanned us back. The realization hit the Admiral like a physical blow. Somehow, the humans had turned their greatest advantage into their greatest vulnerability. The same scanning technology that had won them 47 conquests had just armed their enemy with everything needed to destroy them. All ships fall back to defensive positions, Kethvar ordered. We need to reassess the situation. But Atlas had already predicted this move. Captain, they're trying to retreat and regroup. I recommend we press our attack while they're confused. Chen nodded. All weapons, continuous fire. Don't give them time to think. The Indomitable charged forward into the alien formation, its weapons blazing. The massive human battleship moved like an ancient warrior, taking hits but dealing out even more damage in return. This was what the ship had been built for. Not elegant space combat, but brutal close-range fighting where armor and determination mattered more than advanced technology. The hunters had become the hunted, and the prey was proving to have very sharp teeth indeed. The Indomitable plowed through the Zephyrian formation like an ancient battleship, cutting through enemy lines. Captain Chen stood on her bridge, watching as her ship's weapons systematically dismantled vessels that should have been far superior to anything humanity could build. Atlas, status report on enemy vessels, Chen commanded. Flagship damaged but operational. Attempting to coordinate fleet response. Lead cruiser destroyed. Second cruiser has lost main engines and is drifting. First destroyer is maintaining distance and providing covering fire. Second destroyer is moving to attack our stern. Carrier is launching more fighters. Chen studied the tactical display, noting how the alien ships moved in perfect, predictable patterns. They fight like they're performing a dance. Everything coordinated, everything by the book. Confirmed, Captain. Their tactical responses follow predetermined algorithms. Very efficient against conventional opponents, but vulnerable to unexpected tactics. The captain had spent 20 years in Earth's Navy, fighting pirates, rebels, and corporate security forces. She had learned that chaos was often more effective than order, that breaking the enemy's expectations could be more valuable than superior firepower. "Helm, take us into that asteroid field," Chen ordered, pointing to a cluster of space rocks floating nearby. "Ma'am?" the helmsman questioned. "That field is dense. Navigation will be extremely difficult at combat speeds." Exactly. The aliens designed their ships like art pieces, all flowing curves and elegant lines. I bet they can't handle rough flying. The Indomitable turned toward the asteroid field, its massive bulk moving with surprising agility. The ship had been built tough, designed to take damage and keep fighting. Its hull could handle impacts that would cripple more delicate vessels. Admiral Kethavar watched in disbelief as the human ship headed straight for the asteroid field. "What are they doing?" "That's suicide, Admiral," called his navigation officer. "Should we follow them into the field?" "No, our ships aren't designed for such rough navigation. We'll position ourselves at the field exits and wait for them to emerge." But Atlas had already calculated this response. "Captain, they're taking positions around the field perimeter. They expect us to exit cleanly and engage them in open space. Then let's give them something they don't expect. Weapons. Target that large asteroid at coordinates 7 Mark 4. The railguns fired, sending tungsten rounds into the massive space rock. The asteroid shattered into thousands of smaller pieces, creating a cloud of debris that spread outward like an expanding sphere. "All stop," Chen commanded. "Hold position in the debris cloud." The Indomitable came to rest among the floating rocks, its dark hull blending with the shadows. The ship's passive sensors tracked the alien vessels as they maintained their positions around the field. "They can't get a clear sensor lock on us through all this debris," Atlas reported. "And their weapons have difficulty targeting through the interference," Chen smiled. This was human warfare at its finest, turning the environment into a weapon. "Atlas, can you track their movement patterns?" "Yes, Captain. They're maintaining a standard blockade formation, very predictable patrol routes." "Good. Load the torpedo tubes with proximity mines instead of regular warheads. We're going fishing." The torpedo tubes fired, but instead of heading toward enemy ships, the weapons spread throughout the asteroid field. Each torpedo deployed multiple mines that floated silently among the rocks, waiting for targets to come within range. On the Zephyrian flagship, Admiral Kethavar grew impatient. "How long can one ship hide in there?" "Admiral," Zelrus reported from his sensor station, "I'm detecting multiple small objects moving through the field. They appear to be some kind of autonomous devices." "Weapons?" "Unknown, sir. The interference makes detailed scans impossible." Kethavar's head crest showed orange patterns of frustration. "Very well. Send the fighters in. They're small enough to navigate the field safely." Squadrons of Zephyrian fighters peeled away from the carrier, their sleek forms diving into the asteroid field. The pilots were confident in their abilities and their advanced spacecraft. They had never encountered human mining tactics. The first fighter triggered a proximity mine when it passed within 50 meters of a disguised asteroid. The explosion sent debris flying in all directions, damaging 2 more fighters and forcing the squadron to spread out. "Heavy resistance in the field," the squadron leader reported. "They've mined the entire area." More explosions followed as additional fighters encountered the hidden weapons. The elegant alien craft were built for speed and precision flying, not for dodging flying rocks and surprise explosions. Captain Chen watched the tactical display with satisfaction. "They're learning that pretty ships don't always win fights. Atlas, are you ready for Phase 2? "All systems prepared, Captain." "The debris cloud will provide excellent cover for our exit." The Indomitable's engines came to life, but instead of heading for a clear exit, the ship moved deeper into the asteroid field. Chen had noticed something the aliens had missed, a large asteroid with unusual readings. Atlas, that big rocket, coordinates 12 Mark 8. What's special about it? Scanning now. Captain, it's not a normal asteroid. High concentrations of rare metals, unusual crystalline structures. It appears to be some kind of natural formation with unique properties. Can we use it? Yes. If we detonate it properly, the explosion will create an electromagnetic pulse that will disable their sensors for several minutes. Chen's smile widened. Do it. The ship's main guns fired a concentrated burst into the special asteroid. The rock didn't just explode. It released a massive electromagnetic wave that swept through the entire region. Every electronic system within 10,000 kilometers went dark for nearly 5 minutes. When the Zephyrian sensors came back online, they found the Indomitable right in the middle of their formation. The human ship had used the sensor blackout to position itself for maximum damage. Impossible, Admiral Kethvar shouted. How did they get past our perimeter? The answer came in the form of railgun rounds slamming into his ship's hull. The Indomitable was firing at point-blank range, its weapons cycling as fast as the crew could load them. At this distance, even the alien shields couldn't stop the massive kinetic projectiles. But Chen wasn't finished with her surprises. Engineering, jettison sections 7 through 12. Ma'am? Chief Martinez questioned. You heard me. Blow the separation charges and jettison those hull sections. The Indomitable shuddered as several damaged sections of its outer hull separated from the main ship. But these weren't random pieces of debris. They were carefully aimed projectiles, each one weighing several hundred tons and moving at combat velocity. The improvised weapons slammed into the nearest Zephyrian destroyer, crushing its delicate hull like an eggshell. The alien ship broke apart under the impact, its reactor going critical and adding its own explosion to the chaos. They're using their own ship as a weapon, Vextal reported in shock. Admiral Kethvar realized with growing horror that he was fighting an enemy unlike any his species had ever encountered. The humans didn't just use their technology, they used everything. They turned their environment into weapons, they sacrificed parts of their own ship for tactical advantage, and they fought with a creativity that no manual could predict. All remaining ships, full retreat, Kethvar ordered. We need to get out of range and reassess. But Atlas had been monitoring their communications. Captain, they're trying to retreat. I've prepared a virus to disrupt their coordination. Send it. The AI released its quantum virus into the Zephyrian network. The alien ship suddenly found their communications jamming, their navigation systems giving conflicting readings, and their weapons targeting the wrong coordinates. In the confusion, the Indomitable continued its methodical destruction of the alien fleet. The ship moved like a predator among prey, using every trick, every advantage, every dirty tactic that human warfare had ever developed. This wasn't the elegant space combat that the Zephyrians were used to. This was brutal, chaotic, and utterly human. The battle raged for 3 hours. When it finally ended, 6 Zephyrian warships floated dead in space, their elegant hulls torn apart by human weapons that should never have been able to touch them. Only Admiral Kethvar's flagship remained, barely functional and surrounded by debris from its destroyed fleet. Captain Chen stood on her bridge, looking out at the wreckage of the alien formation. The Indomitable had taken severe damage in the fighting. Half its armor was gone. 2 of its main engines were offline and fires still burned in several sections. But the ship was alive and its crew was alive, and that was more than the aliens could say. Atlas status report, Chen said quietly. 6 enemy vessels destroyed, 1 heavily damaged. Our quantum transmission reached Earth 18 hours ago. Earth Command has confirmed receipt of all intelligence data. Chen nodded, feeling a mixture of pride and sadness. They had accomplished their mission, but the cost would be high. What's our tactical situation? The remaining enemy flagship is severely damaged but still armed. However, Admiral Kethvar is requesting communication. Put him through. The main screen flickered to life, showing the interior of the alien bridge. Admiral Kethvar looked different now. His head crest was dim, his posture defeated. Behind him, his crew worked frantically to repair damaged systems. Human captain, Kethvar said, his voice filled with something that might have been respect. I am Admiral Kethvar of the Zephyrian hegemony. I wish to discuss terms. I'm Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth vessel Indomitable. What terms? We surrender. The words hung in the air between them. Chen had expected many things from this conversation. but unconditional surrender wasn't one of them. Admiral, you still have one ship operational. You could attempt to escape. Kethvar's head crest flickered with bitter amusement. Captain Chen, in 3 hours of combat, you have destroyed technology that took my species millennia to develop. You turned our own weapons against us, used our own scanning technology to defeat us, and fought with tactics that no civilized species would consider. He paused, looking directly at Chen through the screen. More importantly, you have something that we cannot counter: adaptability. Every time we adjusted our tactics, you changed yours. Every advantage we tried to use, you turned into a weakness. My species conquers through technological superiority, but you have shown that superior technology means nothing against superior thinking. Chen considered his words carefully. Admiral, what do you know about the invasion fleet heading for Earth? 200 ships, including our most advanced battleships. They will arrive at your solar system in approximately 50 hours. Kethvar's expression grew grim. But Captain, you must understand that fleet is operating under the assumption that humans are a primitive species with inferior technology. They have no idea what you are truly capable of. And what are we truly capable of, in your opinion? You are the most dangerous species the galaxy has ever produced. Not because of your technology, but because of how you think. You adapt, you improvise, you turn disadvantages into advantages. Your ship was outnumbered 7-1 using inferior technology, and you still won decisively. Atlas interrupted their conversation. Captain, I'm receiving multiple quantum transmissions from the direction of Earth. The invasion fleet has arrived at our solar system. Chen's heart sank. Even with all the intelligence they had provided, Earth's defenses would be overwhelmed by sheer numbers. Atlas, can you determine the outcome? Analyzing incoming transmissions now. Captain, this is unexpected. The human fleet is not just holding its own, it appears to be winning. Admiral Kethvar overheard the AI's report. That's impossible. 200 ships against your small defense fleet? Chen turned back to the alien commander. Admiral, you made one critical error. You assumed that only this ship could adapt your technology. Understanding dawned in Kethvar's alien features. You sent them our technical specifications. Every detail: shield frequencies, weapon capabilities, tactical doctrines, even your battle formations. But more than that, we sent them the knowledge that your technology could be adapted, improved, and turned against you. Atlas provided a running commentary on the battle reports. Earth's shipyards have been working for 72 hours straight, retrofitting every available vessel with adapted Zephyrian technology. The defense fleet now consists of 47 ships equipped with hybrid human-alien systems. 47 ships against 200? Kethvar questioned. Admiral, you're still thinking like a Zephyrian. Numbers don't matter when the smaller force has technological superiority and tactical flexibility. Every human ship captain received complete battle plans for your fleet formations. They know exactly how you fight, what your weaknesses are, and how to exploit them. More reports came in from the battle at Earth. The Zephyrian invasion fleet, confident in their overwhelming numbers, had attacked using standard tactics. They found themselves facing human vessels that fought like no enemy they had ever encountered. Human ships used the alien shield technology, but modified it for rapid frequency changes, making enemy weapons ineffective. Human weapons were fitted with Zephyrian targeting systems, but programmed with human tactical flexibility. Most devastatingly, human captains fought with the knowledge that their enemies' tactics were predictable and their formations vulnerable. The invasion fleet is retreating, Atlas reported. Confirmed destruction of 112 enemy vessels. Remaining ships are falling back towards Zephyrian space. Admiral Kethvar slumped in his command chair. In one day, you have destroyed the largest invasion fleet the hegemony has ever assembled. Admiral, this didn't have to happen. Your species chose to attack humanity without attempting peaceful contact. You tried to conquer us because you believed we were weak. And now? Chen considered her answer carefully. Now you know that strength isn't just about having the best technology. It's about being able to adapt, to learn, to find solutions when everything seems hopeless. Atlas interrupted again. Captain, I'm receiving communications from other star systems. Word of the hegemony's defeat is spreading rapidly. Several species that were conquered by the Zephyrians are declaring independence. Kethvar's head crest showed deep purple patterns of despair. The hegemony is collapsing. Without our technological advantage, we cannot maintain control over our conquered territories. Then maybe it's time to try a different approach, Chen suggested. Instead of ruling through superior technology, try cooperating with equals. The alien admiral looked at her with something like amazement. You would offer alliance to the species that tried to destroy you? I'm offering the chance to choose a different path. The age of conquest is over, Admiral. The galaxy is about to become a much more complicated place. Over the following months, the effects of the battle rippled across known space. The Zephyrian hegemony, built on technological superiority and military dominance, found itself unable to cope with species that now possessed adapted versions of their own technology. But more importantly, humanity had introduced something new to galactic civilization: the concept that any technology could be improved, any advantage could be countered, and any enemy could be defeated through adaptation and creative thinking. The galaxy had been dominated by species that perfected their technology and then used it to control others. Humanity showed that perfection was less important than flexibility, that the ability to change was more valuable than the ability to dominate. Earth became the center of a new alliance, not one based on conquest, but on cooperation between species that shared technology and ideas freely. The human principle that if you can't build it better, steal it and improve it, became the foundation for rapid technological advancement across multiple civilizations. The Indomitable eventually made it back to Earth, its hull bearing the scars of the battle that changed galactic history. The ship was repaired and honored, but more importantly, it became a symbol of humanity's approach to the universe: adaptable, determined, and always ready to learn something new. Captain Chen was promoted to admiral and placed in charge of humanity's growing fleet. But she never forgot the lesson of that first battle, that sometimes the greatest victory comes not from superior weapons, but from superior thinking. The aliens had tried to scan a human battleship. Their mistake was assuming that knowledge only flowed one way. In the end, it was the humans who learned the most from that encounter, and that knowledge doomed not just the Zephyrian fleet, but the entire concept of technological dominance in galactic affairs. The universe would never be the same.